Today we're going to be predicting the upcoming NFL season, and let's see if we can predict the Super Bowl winner. With all of that being said, if you're new here, consider subscribing, drop a like, and let's go ahead and get right into the video. So here we go. We're going to be trying to predict the whole entire season using the PFF little predictor thing. Listen, this video is going to be my opinion. Now, is it going to be accurate? No, because there's injuries. Some teams meet expectations, some teams exceed expectations, some teams just, aren't flat out as good as we think they are going to be. And the NFL is kind of unpredictable. They do say it's a week-to-week league. But I guess, with all that being said, let's go ahead and predict week number 1. So we're going to start off with Philadelphia and Dallas, dude. It's going to be in Philly. You know what? I'm going with Philly, bro. This score, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just going to be picking winners, not the scores. Next up, though, we have Kansas City and the Chargers. Week number 1, dude. I want to go with the Chargers, but it is KC. We're going to get KC, started with a W. So I'm going to kind of try to speed run this a little bit. We're not going to spend too much time. Just going to see, how this entire thing plays out. Next up, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. I feel like this could be like a very, very good game. It is a week 1 game. I'm going to go with Atlanta because it is in Atlanta. Then next up, Cincinnati and Cleveland. I'm a Bengals fan. I don't think Cleveland's going to be as good, but there's so much stuff going on. You know what? Hey, they always end up finding a way to lose Zach Taylor and the guys week number 1. So, I kind of have to stick with that, dude. We lost to the Patriots last year, week 1. Ooh, this one could be like a sneaky solid game. Miami versus Indianapolis. It's in Indy. I don't know. Can they figure it out? I'm actually going to go with Miami in a relatively close game here. Then Carolina is going to go into Duval, and I low-key think Carolina is going to win that one. We still have to see, how everything goes with Jacksonville. I kind of like them, but I'm going with Carolina in this one. Las Vegas and New England. In New England, they just released Christian Wilkins, the Raiders did, but I'm going to go with the Raiders. I just feel like they're a more complete team than the Patriots. Right here, I think the Cardinals are a more complete team than the Saints, and I think the Saints are going to be as good, but it's week number 1. I think the Saints somehow squeak this one out. I guess you can kind of call this a revenge game for Aaron Rodgers. I have Pittsburgh beating the Jets. Wouldn't be surprised if that's really close. And then we have the Giants going into Washington. I think Giants are going to be one of the worst teams in this upcoming year, so yeah, we're going to have Washington winning that one. Denver and Tennessee. We're going to go with Denver right here. Then we have San Francisco going into Seattle. Gonna have to see how those new pieces fit in Seattle, but I'm gonna go with San Francisco. Hopefully they get everything. I'm expecting them to be contenders. Ooh, Lions and the Packers for week number 1. I'm going with the Packers in Lambeau. I still have to see how the Lions perform without their their coordinators that they've let go of this year. Well, they didn't let go of them, they left. Dude, Houston, the offensive line just isn't that good. And if you remember the Rams last year, their defense, Jared Verse, he might be going crazy. Brandon Fisk, I'm going with the Rams. Should be an exciting game. I'm looking forward to that one. And speaking about exciting games, Baltimore and Buffalo. This one's in Buffalo. This one could be a close-up. I could definitely see either team winning. I'm going to go with Buffalo, though. Josh Allen, you got to prove why you're the MVP last year. And you guys are going to go up head-to-head. It's going to be Lamar, Josh Allen. It's going to be fireworks. I just have Buffalo, sneaking that one out. To end off week number 1, we have a sneaky good game. Minnesota, Chicago. It's in Chicago. I heard a report, I think it was yesterday, that the Bears' first-team offense was not as great as, they've been kind of hyped up to be with Ben Johnson. So I'm going to go with Minnesota. We're going to see what J.J. McCarthy and the guys can do, but that's going to be week number 1. Let's head over to week number 2, starting off with a banger, Washington versus the Green Bay Packers. It's in Green Bay, so give me Green Bay for that one. Baltimore and Cleveland, I'm going with Baltimore. Jacksonville, Cincinnati, and Cincinnati. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this was a close game, but I'm going with the Bengals, the get right week number 2. Now, the Giants going into Dallas. I could see, even though I think the Giants are going to be absolutely just god awful this year, I could see them sneaking out one, but I don't think it's, you know, week number 2 in Dallas. Now for the Lions, they do get back on track week number 2, end up winning that, going 1-1. Dude, and surprisingly, you know, Miami is 1-0, and it's early in the season. It's very hard to play in Miami, dude, especially with the way they set up, you know, their opponents. That opposing sideline is just sitting right in that sun that's beaming down on them, dude. I'm going Miami. San Francisco will be going into New Orleans and handling business. Same with the Buffalo Bills. They're going into New York and handling the Jets. Seattle and Pittsburgh, week number 2. This one could be a very interesting game. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle went in there and won, but I'm going to give Aaron Rodgers and the guys another victory. This one, I feel like it could be 17-20, bro. Rams go into Tennessee. Again, this one could be a sleeper game. I'm going to go with the favorite, though, the Rams. As much as I like Carolina and what they did, like going off the end of last year, I will go with the Cardinals because I think the Cardinals are going to be a solid team as well this year. Denver going into Indianapolis. Indianapolis is just going to be a weird team to me. I think that they bounce back this week because somehow, I don't know, Indy can beat some of the best teams in the league, and then they can, you know, snoop down and lose to some of the worst teams in the league. It's a weird team, but, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Denver. Dang, week number 2, we have a Super Bowl rematch. I'm actually going to go with Philly, dude. I think that they're still going to be a dominant team this upcoming year. They're going to end up beating the Chiefs. Now we have Atlanta and Minnesota. I'm going with Atlanta getting the W in Minnesota. Next up, Tampa Bay, Houston. In Houston, oh man, I like Tampa Bay, but I'm going to have them actually starting off 0-2, which is kind of surprising. Houston gets back on track, wins the game. To end off week number 2, we have the Chargers taking on the Raiders. I'm going with the Chargers in a get-right game right here. This brings us to week number 3, 2 undefeated teams, one being Miami and one being Buffalo. I'm going with Buffalo staying 3-0 to start off this year. Now this second game right here between Atlanta and Carolina, dude, I feel like this whole division is kind of wide open. So I'm actually gonna go with the Panthers winning this one. So both teams are gonna be 2-1 to start off the year. Now I have Green Bay ending up getting the dub going into Cleveland. Next up, Houston versus Jacksonville. I do think, you know, Jacksonville, they actually win this game right here. It is in Duval. Cincinnati going into Minnesota. This could be really interesting for many reasons because we don't know what Minnesota is going to be. They're kind of like a wild card team. You don't know what they're going to do. And I don't know. Listen, the offense of Cincinnati is elite, but the defense is garbage. However, I think that they're going to win this. You know, at the end of the day, it's Joe Burrow versus JJ McCarthy. Who's going to make the more plays? I think it's going to be Burrow. Pittsburgh versus New England could be kind of an interesting game, but Pittsburgh, bro, 3-0 to start off the year. There we go. Then we have the Rams going in to Philadelphia. Man, they, you know, last year, I think it was, well, the divisional round, they almost upset them in the snow. But this time, I think Philly is still going to be in control. I think they're going to win this. And hey, listen, you know, Buccaneers fans, you might hate me. I have you guys 0-2, but listen, you're not going 0-3 because you're winning this one. You're going to be 1-2, so just sit back, relax. Now, you know what I was just saying about the Colts, bro? How they could beat some of the better teams in the league, and then they could stoop down and lose to some of the, you know, not top-tier teams, but some of the teams that are just, you know, not really looking for playoff contention. Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those games when they lose in Tennessee to the Titans. Now the Raiders versus the Commanders. Give me the Commanders as well as the Chargers against Denver. Listen, I think that both of these teams, the Broncos and the Chargers, are going to be very good, but I have the Chargers winning that one. New Orleans going into Seattle. I don't have Seattle going 0-3, so give me Seattle. Kind of the same thing with the Chicago Bears. I think that, you know, week 3, maybe they get things on track. I don't know about the Dallas Cowboys, dude. They have a new head coach. The Micah Parsons thing with Jerry Jones, I don't even know what's happening over there, but I think Chicago is going to end up winning that in Chicago. Might be kind of like an ugly game. Then we have Arizona and San Francisco. I'm going with San Francisco. They're going to start off 3-0 as well. Kansas City and the Giants. Bro, Kansas City 2-1, bro. Man, yo, the Lions, dude, they kind of have some games up here, bro. They're going up against the Baltimore Ravens. And for some reason, I feel like this is going to be a ballsy Dan Campbell type of game, and they're going to somehow slug it out. You know, maybe it's a big 4th down on the road, or maybe it's a close game, they tie it up and they go for 2 at the end. I don't know. I just have the Lions maybe going into Baltimore and sneaking that one out. Week 3 is over with. We're on to week number 4, starting off with Seattle and Arizona. I mean, bro, give me... This could be honestly be a flip-flop. You could go either way, but I'm going to go with Arizona winning that one. Now, do the Pittsburgh Steelers start off 4-0? I don't think so. I think that they have a little bit of a blunder. Minnesota goes in there, ends up winning that game. Wow, now this one's going to be a good game. Washington versus the Falcons. And I'm actually going to go with the Falcons this time in Atlanta beating Washington. But after that banger of a game, we have the Saints and Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo's going to take that. Lions and the Browns. Let's go with the Lions. Next up, Houston and Tennessee. I'm going with Houston. You know, could be a close one. It is a divisional game. And for as much, you know, I've been talking about how I like Carolina, dude. I just think that, you know, they could still lose some of these games. I think New England, this is definitely a winnable game for them against Carolina. It is going to be in New England, so I got them winning. As for the Giants, though, listen, the Giants, they have a crazy good defense as of right now, especially that defensive line. But the offensive side, dude, other than Malik Neighbors, bro, and Andrew Thomas, what? I mean, come on. Chargers are going to win that. Now, listen, Tampa Bay fans. I still think that Tampa Bay is going to be a good team. Now, this one's going to be in Tampa Bay. I think somehow Baker Mayfield's going to pull some magic out, and they're going to end up beating Philadelphia, giving them their first loss. I could definitely see the Colts going into LA and winning this game. However, I think the Rams end up closing this one out and taking the dub. Jacksonville, San Francisco. In San Francisco. Let's go with San Francisco. Now, dude, Baltimore 1-2 to start off the year. And my predictions, I don't think they go 1-3. They're going in to Kansas City and winning that game. And well, you know, listen, the last 2 picks that I made, my screen froze. I don't know why it does that for OBS. Just bear with me, bro. The Bears and Raiders. I think the Bears get a game on the road against the Raiders, but I could honestly see the Raiders winning that one. Then we have Green Bay going in to Dallas. I don't know what this Cowboys team is going to be. I just don't think they're maybe, I don't know. I'm going with Green Bay, dude. Green Bay's going to be 4-0, bro. This one's also going to be a bit of a weird game. I am going with Miami in Miami. You know, that first month, bro, the first like 2 months, bro. I don't know what it is, but that weather, it just suits the Dolphins way better than most teams. Now, can Cincinnati go into Denver and win that? I think they could, but however, I think the Denver team's going to be very good. I think Denver's going to, you know, end up winning that one. So here we go. Week number 5, dude. The San Francisco 49ers going against the Rams. I'm going with the Rams at home. They get that dub. Minnesota and Cleveland. Let's get Minnesota that W on the road as well. Houston, Baltimore. Baltimore takes that one. Miami, Carolina. I think Miami could definitely win this one. However, I have Carolina, you know, they pull it out at home. Now the Raiders in the Colts in Indy, bro. I don't know. Something with the quarterback situation is happening in Indy because they're 1-4. You know, is it going to be Daniel Jones? Is it going to be Anthony Richardson? Hey, we don't know. Who wins? I don't know. I could honestly see a tie, but I'm not going with a tie, dude. I'm actually going to go with Giants getting their first dub against the Saints on the road. Okay, so that means the only team without a W is the Jets, and they kind of remain that way because the Cowboys are going into New York and winning that one. Broncos and Eagles. I have the Eagles winning that one. Could be a sneaky game, though. Titans and Cardinals on the road? Could it be Tennessee? I don't know. Let's go Kyler, bro. Let's see if Kyler and the guys can go and, you know, get their chemistry back on track. Seattle and Tampa Bay, dude. What are we going to do? What are we going to go with? This could be, honestly, a flip-flop game as well. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay, though. They're going 3-2. Lions and Bengals. Oh, my, in Cincinnati? Dude. Dude, at the end of the day, I got to go with the Lions, bro. Zach Taylor, awful. The defense, buns. I'm going with the Lions, bro. Chargers versus Commanders. Another, you know, game that I could definitely see going both ways. I'm going to actually go with the Chargers winning this one. Then New England, Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Kansas City going into Jacksonville. Kansas City's going to win that. Holy crap, dude. To start off week 6, we have the Eagles going up against the Giants. Bro, I wouldn't even be surprised if the Giants scored 0 points this game. Dude, I don't know what to expect from the Jets. It's surprising. I have them going 0-6. I don't know. Broncos are going to win. Jets fans, you might tear me apart for this. Now, we do have the Rams and Ravens. This one could be another really good game like they had, I think it was a couple years ago. I'm going with the Ravens at home, though. Dallas Cowboys end up getting a dub on the road against the Panthers. Panthers fans, you are 3-3, though. Cardinals coming into Indianapolis. Indianapolis is going to win this one. They are going to go to 2-4. And then I think, low-key, hey, the Jacksonville Jaguars win this one. Maybe Trevor Lawrence and the guys start to get that chemistry going with Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. Chargers are a very good team, dude, but somehow they end up losing in Miami. Miami just, finds a way to win. Cleveland and Pittsburgh, we're going with Pittsburgh. San Francisco and Tampa Bay, though? This one could be interesting as well. I'm going with Tampa Bay, though. They're going 4-2. Titans going into Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas ends up winning that one. Cincinnati going into Green Bay. I think Cincinnati is going to take this one. Yo, Green Bay fans, it's going to happen in Green Bay. New Orleans goes up against the Patriots. I love Drake May. However, I think New Orleans is going to squeak that one out. Lions and Chiefs. I think the Lions have come off some really brutal games. I am going with Kansas City to win that one. Atlanta and Buffalo, dude. Surprisingly, I could see Buffalo, losing this game because I do think Atlanta is going to be a solid team. However, I'm going to go with Buffalo on this one. Washington and the Bears. Let's go with Washington to win that game. So we are on to week number 7. Pittsburgh's going to be visiting Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati ends up winning that one. Jacksonville and the Rams. Definitely could see the Rams like having a trap game right here, but I'm going to go with the Rams. Chicago, New Orleans. Give me Chicago. Cleveland and Miami. Could definitely see Cleveland somehow sneaking this one out, but I am going to go with Miami. 5-2, dude. Wow, I didn't expect to have Miami going 5-2. Raiders, Chiefs. Minnesota and Philadelphia. I gotta go with Philadelphia, just a well-rounded team. And I do think that the Jets end up getting their first win against the Panthers, dude. Maybe that defense starts to take control. Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, we'll have to see. For as much as I love Drake May, this one's going to be on the road. Maybe Cam Ward. I just feel like Cam Ward is in, a better situation, has better weapons and a better team around him, so I am going to go with Tennessee. We have the Broncos taking on the Giants. Give me the Broncos. Chargers, Colts. Give me Chargers. This could definitely be a game that I could see Arizona winning, but I am going to go with the Packers. Washington and Dallas, though, they do end up having really close games. This one's going to be in Jerry World. Let's go with the Cowboys. Then we have San Francisco and Atlanta. This one's in San Francisco. I like what the Falcons are doing. I think this is going to be a big W on the road for the Falcons. Then we have Tampa Bay versus the Lions. Listen, these games that they've had, or they've been having in the previous couple of years between the Buccaneers and the Lions have been excellent. But I could see Tampa Bay going in there and squeaking that one out. So I have them at 5-2. Houston and Seattle. This one's in Seattle. I have Seattle ending up, winning that one. Chargers taking on Minnesota. Now, I don't think Minnesota is necessarily a bad team. They are 3-3. I just don't know what to expect from them. But I have the Chargers. I'm pretty high on the Chargers. I think they're going to win that one. Hey, listen, Dolphins fans, bro. I have you guys at 5-2. Surprised that I even have you guys, winning 5 games right there. But I am going to go with the Falcons there. Then we're going with Baltimore winning that. Buffalo going 7-0. The only, I think, undefeated team that we have. Cincinnati and the New York Jets. We're going with Cincinnati. Houston will be taking on San Francisco. And we're going to actually, I think we're going to do it, dude. I think we're going to give Houston a big win at home against the 49ers. So that leaves us with Cleveland and the Patriots. I do have Cleveland winning this one. I could definitely see this being like a Myles Garrett takeover type game. The Giants in Philadelphia, bro. Give me Philly, bro. Give me Philly. Tampa Bay going into New Orleans. Let's go with Tampa Bay winning that one. And then we do have Dallas and the Broncos. I'm gonna go with the Broncos at home at Mile High. Then we will have the Indianapolis Colts winning that one, and I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers, this could be another Aaron Rodgers revenge game, bro. but I'm going with the Packers edging that one out in Pittsburgh. Washington, though, I got you guys getting back on track, winning this one. I could definitely see this one being like a game where Washington is just super aggressive, constantly going for it on 4th downs, and really putting that pressure on the Kansas City Chiefs. We are in week 9, so we're getting into that second half of the year. Miami and Baltimore. I'm going with Baltimore winning in Miami. Cincinnati versus the Bears. I do have Cincinnati winning. Now Lions and Minnesota. Let's go with the Lions, not Minnesota. Packers, I will have you guys winning, going 7-1 against Carolina. Carolina's kind of fallen off a little bit, 3-6, not necessarily, what you want to be right here. Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, maybe they get a big time connection, and Tank Dell comes back to the lineup, so we will have the Texans winning that one. This is a week-to-week league, dude, and somehow, some way, New England finds a way in New England to win that game. But listen, the Giants, it's not the same, bro. San Francisco gets back on track, 5-4, beating the Giants. I will say Pittsburgh gets the dub. Could be a very ugly game and a close one. Chargers go on the road. They end up beating Tennessee. Now at home, the Rams handle business. I have Jacksonville kind of getting a little bit high. They win another game. I think this is maybe 2 games in a row. I don't know. Maybe they lost last week. I'm not really sure. Buffalo and Kansas City. Usually Buffalo wins all of these games, but I'm going to have this one being their first loss and Kansas City beating them in Buffalo. Washington going up against Seattle. Let's give Washington that dub. Arizona going into Dallas. Hey, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., they have big games and they win. Week number 10, we have Denver and Vegas. We're going to go with Denver winning that one. And the Colts, very weird team. They end up getting a W at home against the Falcons. Carolina and New Orleans, they could have a slug out in Carolina, but I'm going, Panthers, they get back on track, get a W here. Chicago, they win this one in Chicago. The Giants are 1-9. The Jaguars and the Texans, a divisional game, could be a big time. Well, it is a big time game, but I have, the Texans ending up beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. Miami and Buffalo in Miami. Can 2 win the guys take over? Can they win it? No, they can't. Let's go Buffalo, 8-1. Minnesota and Baltimore, dude. This one's going to be in Minnesota. Minnesota's kind of a weird team as well. I think that they kind of, win that one. They find a way. Then we have the Jets taking on the Browns. I think the Jets win that one. Go to 2-7. New England takes on Tampa Bay. Let's go Tampa Bay, dude. 7-2 after that. What are they? Are they on a 7-game win streak, dude? Did they go 0-2 to start off the year? Seattle and Arizona in Seattle. I'm going with Seattle. Sam Darnold and the guys get going. Now the Rams go into, the 49ers territory. I have the 49ers faithful winning that. And right here, I kind of think that the Lions get, some revenge from that playoff game. They go into Washington and beat them. Chargers and Steelers could definitely be a very solid game. I'm going to go with the Chargers winning that. Philadelphia and Green Bay in Green Bay, dude. I don't know, maybe weather could play a factor here. I'm going with the Packers, dude. They had a crazy game in Brazil. To start off week 11, we have 2 2-win teams going at it, but one's going to move to 3, and that's going to be the Patriots. Hey, listen, Dolphins fans, it was fun while it lasted, but Commanders, they're going to win that game. And I think the Falcons get back on track. Winning this one could be a close one, though. Now, Tampa Bay and Buffalo could really see it going either way. However, maybe if this was in Tampa Bay, I'd have Tampa Bay winning, but I'm going to go with Josh Allen. The boys end up, beating them in that one in a very close game. And kind of surprisingly as well, I have the Jaguars winning this. Maybe Trevor Lawrence and the guys can get things going. They move up to 4-6. The Chargers just drop a game on the road. Speaking about dropping games on the road, I don't think that's what the Bears are going to do. I think they're going to win this one in Minnesota, beat them. Packers, though, they're going to wall up the Giants, bro. I hate the Giants, dude. I hate the Giants. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati in Pittsburgh. I think this is going to be a big-time game. Obviously, it's a divisional game, but I got Cincinnati, edging it out in that one. Another big-time divisional game, I have the Titans beating Houston. maybe their pass rush can get after CJ Stroud, make him uncomfortable. Plus, this is a home game. I have them totally winning that, as well as Arizona winning a divisional game against the 49ers. Now, Seattle will be taking on the Rams. I do have the Rams winning at home, but could see it going both ways. Baltimore's going to win on the road. Now, Kansas City goes into Denver, dude. This one could be a very interesting one. I do have Denver, winning that one in the Mile High Stadium. Philadelphia and the Lions, dude. Maybe this is another one of those Dan Campbell savvy games where they just play really aggressive and the Lions end up winning on the road. Now, we do have Dallas and the Raiders. I honestly don't think Dallas is going to be that amazing of a team this year, so we're going to go with the Raiders at home. This leads up to week number 12. Buffalo and Houston. In Houston, could be a close one. I think Houston's going to win that. I feel like they're going to start feeling, that pressure. They have to really take that division, so I am going to have them winning that. Baltimore, though, they're going to win that game right there. Now, Chicago and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh started off the year great, but I think Chicago, they're going to kind of get things rolling a little bit. They're going to 6-5. Patriots and Cincinnati. I'm going to give Cincinnati that W. Lions and Giants. Bro, Lions all the way, bro. Now, the Packers are 9-1, but, I'm going with Minnesota. This is a divisional game. I think Minnesota goes in there and snags this one. Indy, would not be surprised if Indy somehow pulled this game out and won, but I'm going with Kansas City. Now, Tennessee and Seattle. Tennessee, you might think they start going up. However, I think they dropped this one. They had a big divisional win last week, but they end up losing this. That Jacksonville Magic that they got things going, I think that they kind of stutter here a little bit. Show signs of the team that they were early on in the year, and they dropped this one. Now, this one could be a surprising game. I actually am going to go with the Browns winning that. I feel like, again, could be another Myles Garrett big-time defensive game here in Vegas. Philadelphia is going to go into Dallas. I feel like they're just going to put a beating on them. Even though it's in Dallas, I feel like they're just going to win that. Atlanta versus New Orleans. I think Atlanta's going to win that one right there. And then we have Tampa Bay taking on the Rams in Los Angeles, and I don't know, this one could be a kind of a coin flip as well, but I'm gonna go with the Rams at home, kind of play it safe. Now, Panthers and 49ers, let's give the 49ers that win at home, so they're gonna go to 7-5, and we're moving on to week number 13 with a big time divisional matchup against the Lions and the Packers, and I got the Lions winning that one at home. Now, can Kansas City go into Dallas and beat them? I don't know. They could do it. Maybe they'll have Rashee Rice. I don't know what's happening there. Travis Kelce. But I'm actually going to go with the Cowboys winning that one. Yeah, against the Chiefs. I know. It's in Dallas. I don't know what happens. They win that one. Cincinnati going into Baltimore, though. Dude, both games that we had against Baltimore were shootouts. Defense couldn't stop anything. I think the defense just got worse. So I'm giving that one to Baltimore. Now, Chicago and Philadelphia, I think Philadelphia is going to win that one. This Rams defense is really going to get after it against Carolina, so I have them winning. Same with San Francisco. Think that they're just going to put a beating on the Browns. Big time divisional game here. Indianapolis and Houston. Can Indy keep their playoff hopes alive? And they do. They end up getting the W right here. Ever since Miami started off 5-2, I believe, they've dropped 4 games at 5-6. And I think they actually end up getting the dub here in that game. And Atlanta, dude. Atlanta gets the win against the Jets in New York. So we're going to give Atlanta the win. Arizona goes into Tampa Bay. I think this one could be a close one, but I have Tampa Bay winning that game. And Tennessee, dude. Who is it going to be? Cam Ward or Travis Hunter? Big time game. I think Trevor Lawrence and the guys, they really get things going. I think Trevor Lawrence, they end up winning. Minnesota and Seattle, dude. This could be a really good game. I mean, obviously you got the Sam Darnold revenge game. I guess you could call it that because he did play in Minnesota last year. Guess you could call it. I'm going to go with Minnesota winning that one, though. Now, the Raiders versus the Chargers could be interesting. I'm going with the Chargers, kind of playing it safe. Same thing with Buffalo. I think they win that one in Pittsburgh. Now, Denver goes into Washington. Can they win that? I don't think so. I think Washington will win. New England and the Giants. Who's going to win? Is it going to be the Giants getting a dub? Surprisingly, yeah. I don't know. They do it. That defense really gets after Drake May and the boys. And I think that the defense could win it yet alone for the Giants. Now here we go, week 14. Things are really starting to take shape in the playoffs, dude. Hey, these are going to be some big time games. Teams are going to be, starting to get a little bit desperate, trying to clear up or claim a playoff spot. Now we have the Lions, though. They handle business against Dallas. That's a big shot for Dallas, dude. And surprisingly right here, I say it's a big game. Atlanta ends up dropping to Seattle. Yeah, could be some big ramifications from that game. Baltimore and Pittsburgh, we have Baltimore winning that. Now Tennessee goes into Cleveland. I don't think Tennessee wins that game quite yet. I think Cleveland ends up, beating them out. I think Chicago goes in there. They're trying to make that playoff push. They go into Green Bay, end up winning that game. Now, Jacksonville and Indianapolis, dude, I just got to go off of history right here, bro. Somehow, the Colts never win in Jacksonville, so I got to go with Jacksonville winning this game. Washington, they've kind of been on a roller coaster this season, except I do think that they get a huge playoff win on the road, or not a playoff win, but a huge win in general on the road against Minnesota. Now Miami takes on the Jets in New York. I think that the Jets can somehow squabble that out. I really don't know what's going to go on with the Dolphins this year, so I do have them winning. New Orleans could definitely see them putting up a fight here, but I'm going with Tampa Bay to win that one. And then, this one really need this. The Broncos really need this, bro. But I have them dropping to the Raiders. Yes, the Raiders end up getting a big time dub at home. And that's kind of going to be the same thing. The Rams end up dropping as well. Now, Cincinnati, can they go into Buffalo and win? I think so, but I don't know. I just don't know how the defense is going to be. Maybe Joe Burrow and the guys are playing really good, but maybe Buffalo just puts up more points than we can. Maybe we just can't stop them. So I'm going to give that one to Buffalo. And right here, dude, Kansas City and Houston. I think Kansas City gets that big time W at home. And basically, to end off this week, we have two really good teams, but I think the Chargers somehow pulled this one off at home. So week number 15, dude, we have some big time games. I'm going with Tampa Bay winning at home versus the Falcons. Don't know if the Falcons are quite yet ready to take that leap. It's a big time game. We're gonna have to see what Michael Penix Jr. can do. And I think Chicago's gonna win this one at home. Cincinnati and Baltimore, who's gonna win at home? I think somehow, they've had shootouts in the past, but Cincinnati's got to win one, right? They come through. I don't know what happens. Maybe the defense actually makes a play. So we're going to have Cincinnati winning that game. Arizona looks like a solid team this year. Houston, they really need this. I think Houston wins this one at home as well. Jacksonville really putting pressure on Houston. They end up winning in Jacksonville. And then right here, big time game. Kansas City really needs to win this one. They do. They get it done at home. Then we have Buffalo going into New England, handling business, of course. Washington and the Giants, bro. I'm going with Washington, Philadelphia, Raiders. I don't think that the Raiders get an upset right here. Could definitely see, though, Denver beating, the Packers. I could definitely see that. But I think, the Packers, actually, I'm going to go with Denver. I think Denver actually gets a huge, big time type win right there, because the Lions are going to drop against Matthew Stafford and the Rams in LA. And then right here, things were looking up. Carolina were 3-3 at one point. I think they win this one, going to 5-9. Now, do I think that Indianapolis could go into Seattle and win that one? Yes, but I don't think that they do it. I don't know who's going to be the quarterback. I don't know. Maybe Anthony Richardson is going to go off this year. Who knows? Tennessee is not going into San Francisco unless a big injury happens and winning that game. Kind of a wild card team, like I said, in Minnesota. I think they dropped this one. Dallas ends up winning that. Pittsburgh and Miami. I'm going with Pittsburgh. I think the defense kind of shuts down that Miami offense. Week 16 is upon us. There's 3 weeks left of the regular season, bro. Need some big time W's. And I think the Rams dropped this one. Seattle surprises them at home and win. But the Bears, they did end up getting the Packers, on the road in Lambeau. But I think the Packers kind of repay them that debt and get them on the road in Chicago. Then we have Philadelphia going and taking on the Commanders. I don't think that the Commanders are quite yet ready to take on the Eagles and really, take over that division. So I am going with Philadelphia right there. winning that one on the road. Baltimore is going to win this big time game as well. And you know, Tampa Bay goes into Carolina. It's a divisional game. They lose. They lose. Keeps the door still wide open for that NFC South, for the, you know, the Atlanta Falcons to come and take that #1 seed. Buffalo and Cleveland, though, I don't think that, you know, Myles Garrett, you know, he could have a big game, but I still think that Buffalo ends up winning that. I think things are taking shape. I just don't think that Dallas, they might not be, you know, as good of a team this year, so I do have them dropping that one. Now, the Jets and New Orleans. In New Orleans, I'm going with New Orleans, bro. You know, I could definitely see, you know, the Giants winning this, except I'm going to go with Minnesota, bro. Giants, bro. That defense could win them the game, but I don't know, bro. Next up, Kansas City's going to get a big-time W on the road. Arizona takes on Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta just needs this one more, bro. They just feel like they need it more. They end up winning a big-time game on the road. And as of right now, as you guys can see, you know, the Jaguars are holding onto that one spot in the AFC South, but I think Denver really ends up, you know, in the Mile High taking over. I don't think that, you know, Trevor Lawrence and the guys could take it over there. But the Lions are going to beat Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh, bro. I don't know. Maybe this is not the year. Houston and Vegas. Houston's going to win. Miami and Cincinnati. Cincinnati's going to win. Indianapolis takes on San Francisco. And you know what? I said weird things happen. This Indianapolis team is weird. They end up getting the dub at home. Dallas and Washington, this one being at home. I'm actually going to go with the surprising upset. I'm going Dallas wins this one again against, I don't know if they won it, you know, previously, but they end up beating the Commanders. The Lions take on the Vikings. I think the Vikings end up giving the Lions a bit of an L right there. Big time divisional game though. Broncos, Chiefs. We're going to have the Chiefs edging that one out. Seattle and Carolina. Carolina's going to win that one. Okay, maybe, hey, watch out. Carolina making a late year push. Arizona and Cincinnati. This one's going to be in Cincinnati. I have Cincinnati winning that one. Now, Baltimore and Green Bay, dude. Wow, this is going to be a huge, huge game. I don't know who can win. You know, I like Baltimore going in, but I think this one could be, you know, a snow game. I don't know. It could be, but that kind of fits Baltimore. I'm going with Baltimore, dude. I'm going with Baltimore. I think they end up getting the big time dub on the road. Houston going up against the Chargers. You know, Houston really needs this game. They could really take hold of that AFC South, but I think the Chargers end up winning that one. Then we have the Giants and Raiders. Could definitely see the Giants taking that one, but I'm going with the Raiders, bro. Going with the Raiders. Going with Pittsburgh on the road against Cleveland. Indianapolis versus Jacksonville, though. Who's going to win this, bro? I'm going with Indianapolis, dude. Indianapolis gets it done at home. They just came off a huge dub against the 49ers. Miami and Tampa Bay, you know, somehow Miami gets it done in Miami. You know, maybe they can sneak one out. They get it done. Then we have New England going into New York. Could they win this? I think they do. I think Drake May really has a good game. Shines right there. New Orleans goes into Tennessee. Tennessee gets a big time W. Now Philadelphia goes into Buffalo and they beat Buffalo. They give Buffalo a loss right there. Chicago, they're going into San Francisco. I think San Francisco edges this one out. They get it right, you know, going up against the Colts. Rams on the road against Atlanta, dude. I'm giving Atlanta a big time W at home. So that sets up week number 18. Big time week. And I guess, you know, we could kind of move the face cam over here and sort of take a look at what the standings and everything are looking like. Obviously, you got your playoff standings. Bills, number 1 seed. Baltimore is 2. Hey, Chargers are number 3. We also have Texans at 4. The 5 seed being the Chiefs. Cincinnati's at 6. 7, we have the Broncos. Over in the NFC, Eagles at 1. Lions at 2. Oh my goodness. The Falcons are 3. 49ers are 4. 5, we have the Packers. 6, the Rams. 7, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These are what the divisions are looking like, dude. Tight race in the AFC South. Tight race in the AFC West. Kind of could say the same thing between the Bengals and the Ravens in the North. Next up, again, NFC North is a pretty tight race. NFC South and West, another super close race. I guess we're going to have to see, dude, how this final week is going to impact the season. And I think, you know, starting off, big divisional game. Saints could pull it off, could upset. I think that they don't. I feel like just the team's going to be out of it. I feel like Atlanta is going to win that one. Buffalo going to win that one against the Jets. Actually, you know what? They don't. The Jets end up winning because Buffalo, they end up resting their starters. So next up, we have the Lions going up against the Bears in Chicago. Huge, big time game. Ben Johnson wants this revenge. I think he gets it. I think the Bears actually play super aggressive, and they end up pulling that one out on the road. Cleveland and Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati gets, you know, their dub back against Cleveland. Wow, Cincinnati 12-5. Now we have the Chargers going up against Denver in the Mile High. Denver, Sean Payton and the guys, Bo Nix, they get a big time W right there. This could be an Indianapolis type of game where they win this and Houston drops it. But I think CJ Stroud and the guys, they end up barely pulling that one out. And then we have Tennessee and Jacksonville. Jacksonville kind of, they need this. But I think Cam Ward and the guys win a big time game. Arizona and the Rams go up against each other. Big time win on the road for Arizona though. They shock some people. They get a big time W right there. But I think Kansas City really wins this one against the Raiders. Final week, Minnesota, Green Bay. Who wins this one? Could it be Green Bay going on the road, winning this? I think, oh man, this one's a really hard one, dude. I think Minnesota though, at home, they end up pulling that one out. They end up winning. Now Miami, I feel like something's gonna happen, dude. Maybe Tyreek's gonna go crazy again. Maybe he's gonna, like, you know, stir up some stuff. I think that the New England Patriots end up winning that. And right here, Dallas, Giants are at home. Could the Giants win it? I'm going with Dallas winning that one. Philadelphia and Washington, big time game. Washington really needs this, dude. They really need this. I think Jane Daniels really goes out there on the road, gets it done. Baltimore goes into Pittsburgh. They end up winning that one. Seattle, San Francisco, big time thing, but I think San Francisco wins that game at home. Final game of the week, Carolina, Tampa Bay. Who wins this? I think, you know, Tampa Bay at home, they're really wanting to get things done. I think they get an emphatic W, and they end up winning that. All right, we're moving the face cam down here. It's playoff time, dude. It is playoff time. Here we go. The 1 seeds of Buffalo and Philadelphia. But let's start off in the AFC side. Broncos go in to Baltimore, but they just lose. You know, the Broncos, nice young team, but they end up losing to the more experienced Ravens. This is a divisional game that really could go either way. Chargers on the road kind of, you know, lose that home field advantage. Chiefs, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I just can't count them out, dude. I literally cannot count them out. Houston and Cincinnati, I'm going with Cincinnati on the road. Listen, I'm trying not to be biased. I'm going with Cincinnati. Now the Rams versus the Falcons could be a big time win. I think I had the Falcons maybe winning this matchup in the regular season, but I'm going to go with the Rams winning this one in the postseason. And this is, wow, Green Bay takes on San Francisco in San Francisco. Listen, road team's getting it done. I'm going with Green Bay winning that one. So the 6-7, seeds end up winning in the NFC. Tampa Bay versus Lions, dude. Tampa Bay, I could definitely see them winning this one. They always have banger of games, but I'm going with the Lions. End up beating it out, winning that one. Then we have Cincinnati going into Buffalo. With this defense for Cincinnati, dude, I just don't think they can get it done. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills winning that. And man, dude, Baltimore and Kansas City. Can the Chiefs really get it done again and go? I think they could, but maybe this is the year it ends. I'm going with Baltimore winning. At some point, bro, it's got to end, right? Chiefs fans, bro, it's got to end at some point. Maybe this is the year. Can the Rams, though, can they go into Philadelphia and try to upset them? They almost did last year, but I think Philadelphia is just too much of a complete team. I think they end up winning that one. Packers and Lions. Who could win here? Lions, could they? I don't know. Maybe. I like the Lions. I think the Lions are going to win. So we have the AFC Championship. Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens. Who ends up winning this matchup? I am going to go with Buffalo. Josh Allen gets it done at home. Knocks off the Ravens. So that leaves the NFC between the Eagles and the Lions. Can the Lions get it done? Lions, they've been trying this entire time, dude. The Eagles, really a complete team. And I think, the Lions, they're going to play really aggressive on the road. However, the Eagles, that team, that roster is just too complete. I think they end up winning that one. The battle of the 1 seed, the best team in the AFC going up against the best team in the NFC. Who could win, dude? Realistically, I don't know. This could be a fire game, bro. Fire game. I could see it going either way. I gotta go with my mind, dude. I think the Eagles repeat, bro. Just that team is just good, bro. If you look at the team, it's just a complete roster, dude. I think that they definitely have the capabilities to repeat and win the Super Bowl again. I'm going with the Eagles, bro. An all-around complete team. Listen, if you enjoyed this video, this was pretty fun to make. It's week to week. A lot of people might just say, why are you going to lose this one? Listen, it's week to week, bro. Any team can win against any team. This is my prediction. I kind of tried to speed run it as well. Didn't want to take up too much time, but I think this is going to be a long video anyways. However, with all of that being said, if you guys enjoy these type of videos, then go check out my last one where I ranked the last 10 Super Bowls. However, I'll see you guys in the next one, and shout out to the members. Yeet.